Ashleigh, I hope you're laughing.
Bill O'Reilly, give me a twirl. Good night, America. Thank you.
Oh, boy. Ashleigh Banfield starts right now.
With Roger Adams.
No, don't leave. I am loving this.
I know, because he's not doing you. That's why.
Half my show to him.
If he was doing you as an impersonation, then you would say,
doing you? What is this, Fox News in the 90s? My God, Ashleigh.
Come on,
Ashleigh.
Fred, give me a chance here.
Ask me something serious. Ask me something serious. What do you have?
Okay, here it is. Can Matt Friend do Ashleigh Banfield?
He's probably working on it right now.
Oh, my God, Ashleigh.
This guy.
No, I can't.
You don't want any of that, I promise you.
Let me rephrase that.
Yes, please.
I like, they told me not to come lean forward. The producers literally said, do not lean forward. And by the way, out of context, this does not look right as you move in and out.
All right. We got to talk serious now.
We got to talk serious.
You covering the Diddy case. How can I help you with it?
I am. Okay, well, first of all, I want Matt Friend on as a weekly segment.
I'm going to lobby for it.
This guy will not shut up. I'm going to have to knock him out right on set. Go ahead. What do you have?
Well, I'll tell you what. We can start off a little light with this because I got a couple of mobsters coming up on the Diddy case, and I wanted to talk to you because you're a lawyer.
Yes, ma'am.
About RICO. Everybody's flipping out that this isn't RICO, this is domestic abuse, and I don't know if it's driving you to drink, but it's driving me to drink, because when I watch this testimony, I see predicate acts that amount to RICO probably 20 times a day.
Yes. However, so what would be the check on that? Are they the types of activities that were promised in this indictment? What were we expecting? I think the fair appraisal is that Diddy was allegedly running some kind of organization that moved maybe underage people, maybe women and men, to different places against their will, and that everybody knew this, and there were big names involved, and who's going to come out as being part of it. And we have not had that. We have things that are one-offs that may check the box legally, but will they be satisfied within that jury box? That I don't know yet.
Huh. I feel like we've had bribery, extortion, kidnapping, assault, possibly rape, violations of the Mann Act, because you just got to buy some guy a ticket, pay him for prostitution,
Mann
and
Act
move
is
him
a
over
problem.
state lines, which we've... Yeah,
Weapons
we've
is a
seen,
problem.
countless people testify.
Yeah.
And a lot of corroboration, right? A lot of these witnesses have the same story.
Yeah, and remember, again, is it part of this, if it were a law school exam? No, but you are dealing with the marriage of law and public perception in that jury box, whether we want to say that or not. It's true. These are real people who have real experiences and perspective through the media. And that video of what he did to his girlfriend, Cassie, is a horrible thing to watch, and we know he lied about it. So that goes into it, too. Is it in the indictment? No. Is it part of the stated charges? Is it an element of one of those things? No. But it puts a taste in the mouth of those jurors that you may not be able to undo as a defense. And you are right. They are piling on lots of nefarious acts.
I missed one, obstruction of justice, because when you pay a security guard to hand you over video of a felony assault, and you pay him $100,000 to do that, and said security guard needs to invoke his right to the fifth or give me immunity to testify, under duress to that, that's another predicate act to RICO. I swear, I just sit there all day long. It's like a drinking game, but I only do water. And I have been, having to go to the bathroom more than I want to based on the number of
hydrated. Your skin must be amazing.
Amazing. Brother, let me tell you. But I'm telling you, I might be crazy here, but that's why I wanted to talk to a lawyer like you, because I feel like it's RICO left, right, and center. It's just that this jury of people like, average folk, it needs to be explained to them, needs to be a hell of a summation, and they need all 135 pages of those jury instructions. Yeah,
but look, here's what we know. We've seen this time and time again in cases. The longer the jury instructions are, the more problems that the jury's going to have, right? The expectation is that the copious nature of them will somehow help, but it doesn't, because you get in the weeds. It gets complicated. And again, I try to keep it really simple. You were talking about mobsters earlier, okay? That's what RICO was born of, right? Why were they going after racketeers? Rackets were the parties during Prohibition that gangsters were running. And it was a way of proving that these different activities went into all the killing that we can't prove. So You want to see that the predicate acts that you're talking about are related to an enterprise that was worthy of this level of scrutiny. That's the question for me. Will the jury say that all of the predicate acts that check the boxes were in furtherance of something that I believe is worthy of the case against it? And that is a tougher question.
You have to be my regular guest. If your buddy over there doing the impressions is going to be your regular guest, I'm going to make the same request of you.
I am always happy to be on with you. I just don't know that I always provide value. But if I do, I'm a call away.
It's more than enough value, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Chris. So appreciate it.
Ashleigh, I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me eat in a little to this top of the show, and thank you for having me. I'm always here.
We'll do it again tomorrow. Hey, everybody, Banfield starts right now. I just had the conversation with Chris Cuomo, and I promised it, and I will deliver. A couple of mobsters are going to join me on the show tonight to talk RICO because, as Chris said, RICO was created to bring down the mob. But now we're starting to see it bringing down sex traffickers left, right, and center. I'm talking R. Kelly. I'm talking Keith Raniere. The list goes on. But can the feds get Diddy on RICO? I said it before. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I see it every single day with every single witness, almost. But, you know, I'd be interested to hear from the guys who actually sat at the fence table trying to defend themselves against RICO. And to that, I've got Michael Franzese and also Sammy the Bull Gravano coming. And a really, really interesting witness today who said, you want violence? You want mobster activity? I was dangled off a 17th-story balcony. How's that for RICO? We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, we've got 4 guys out there, 3 manhunts, and all of those 4 guys are different, and they all require different kinds of tracking. One's in his 20s, one's in his 30s, one's out of shape and well into his 50s, and that guy on the far right, Travis Decker, that guy might be the most dangerous of them all. He's ex-military, has survival skills, and police say he just murdered his own 3 little girls in the woods. So we're going to talk about how to catch him with the sheriff who is on his tail tonight. And I've got some new information about a possible spotting. And then this case. For 2 decades, we have talked about Madeleine McCann. What happened to little Madeleine McCann? She went missing right out of her bed while her parents were on vacation with the family in Portugal. Now, 18 years later, there is a feverish search underway currently right around the area where she was grabbed. Why is that? And why has the name Christian Bruckner come up again? A guy who was in their sights 18 years ago, in their sights recently, and is really in their sights now, except for the fact that he's going to get out of prison real soon. So if they don't get him on this now, it may be hard to get him later. Let's start here, shall we? I know for a fact that you can be convicted and a racketeer without ever dangling anybody off a 17th-story balcony. But if you do that, allegedly, and you later stand trial on a RICO charge, it is going to come up. And so it did today in the racketeering and sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. On the stand was a fashion designer and longtime friend of Diddy's girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Her name is Brianna Bongolan, but she goes by Bana. Bana testified that she was staying at Cassie's LA apartment back in 2016 when Diddy burst through the door one night unannounced. She said he asked him to leave, and when he wouldn't, he followed her out to Cassie's balcony 17 stories up. Bana told the jury today that Diddy grabbed her from behind, groped her, and then dangled her over the railing, yelling, "You know what the F you did." At the time, Bana was 5'1" and about 100 pounds. She said she was dangling like that for about 15 seconds. She said then, when he was done, he threw her into the balcony furniture, badly injuring her. Photos were shown in court today of Bana's injuries: a bruised up leg, cuts, bandaged back, her neck in a brace. She said she saw a chiropractor who asked her, "Who did this to you?" And she testified that she refused to answer that doctor. To this day, she said she suffers from PTSD and nightmares. And to this day, she insists that she has no idea what the F Diddy thought she did to deserve that. And that wasn't the only alleged Diddy outburst that put her in fear for her life, she said. Bana testified that Diddy once told her at a photo shoot, quote, "I'm the devil and I could kill you." On another occasion, she testified that a coked-up Diddy supposedly threw a knife at Cassie while Bana looked on in shock. The knife missed, but Bana said that Cassie threw it right back at him. She added that Cassie missed too and that Diddy promptly left after that. Speaking of coke, Bana admitted that drugs were pretty much the foundation of her friendship with Cassie, and she said that they partied together a lot with cocaine and ketamine and ecstasy and GHB. She said she sold a lot of drugs to Cassie, that might be the reason that she was granted immunity to testify. The third witness now, by my count, who has been given immunity to testify in this courtroom. For its part, the defense is accusing Bana of making the whole thing up and changing her stories every time she tells them and looking for a payday. Bongolan is among dozens of Diddy accusers who have filed civil suits against him. And she filed one for $10 million. But on the stand, she said what she's really seeking is justice. With racketeering at the heart of this case, my first guests tonight know a lot about alleged criminal enterprises built around power, around fear, and exploitation. Michael Franzese is a former captain in New York's Colombo crime family who went on to serve 8 years for racketeering and extortion. Sammy the Bull Gravano is a former underboss of the Gambino family who later testified against John Gotti, by the way. And if you are wondering what retirement looks like for an ex-wise guy, here is Sammy the Bull at age 80, still throwing punches at the gym. Wow, that is impressive. Michael and Sammy, welcome back to the program, to both of you. And Sammy, dang, brother, how many times are you hitting the gym?
Every so often, a couple times a week.
Well, I'm sure that you were scary back in the day. To me, you still look scary today. So let me start here. And actually, Michael, I'm going to give the first one to you. The feds typically stack RICO cases, right? They line up the predicate acts, the underlying acts of crimes, and then they sort of lay them all out by, bringing witness after witness or pieces of evidence out. I want to ask you how damaging you think Bana was on the stand today, talking about being dangled over a 17th-story balcony.
Well, listen, it sounds terrible. Obviously, I'm not in the courtroom evaluating her as she gives her testimony. But look, all of this is adding up. It seems like these witnesses are corroborating one another, the same kind of behavior with all of them. I mean, it's very damaging. I also wanted to mention something. You think it's so out of the ordinary that, he's being charged in racketeering. The only thing out of the ordinary for me is that he's the only defendant. Normally, you have multiple defendants. But remember, they use this against Wall Street. They use it against our ex-president in Georgia. They try to, they accuse them of racketeering. So you give the government a statute, if they can expand upon it, they'll use it in every way that they can. But what's really puzzling here is it seems that most of these witnesses were given immunity. So some of them might be unindicted co-conspirators that would make up the enterprise along with Diddy. It's just that they agreed to cooperate and they're not indicted. I mean, that's my take on it so far.
That's a really good point, Sammy. Jump on that, because Bana was the third person by my count to be given immunity for her testimony. And each of those three that got up there, they all said they did not want to be there. They did not want to be a part of this. They weren't looking to put Diddy away. They just didn't want anything to do with him. Do you think that jurors see that? Do you think they see immunity as something that's really important?
No, I agree with Michael 100%. They all got immunity because they're cooperating. They're all part of the enterprise, and that's exactly what happens. When I cooperated, I was part of the enterprise, and I was cooperating, and nothing that I said could be used against me, and that's exactly what's happening here. Same exact thing. So they're all part of the enterprise.
Do you think that's going to amount to RICO in the jurors' minds? Are they going to see that as racketeering?
No, and I don't think they're going to see anything wrong with her dangling 17 stories off a building. I agree with Michael. I think it's horrible. It's disgusting, but I don't see it as a RICO thing. He was mad at her. They're not even saying why he was mad at her. Could have been an argument. how is that part of a criminal enterprise?
That's a good point. So, Michael, how about this? When it came time for cross-examination of Bana, I lost count. So did the NewsNation reporters who were in the courtroom taking notes. The number of times she said, "I don't remember." How powerful do you think that is for jurors who start to think, well, maybe your story isn't so strong if you just can't remember conveniently on cross?
Yeah, I think that goes against the witness. But again, I've been following this in the paper every day, and I just think the totality of these witnesses claiming the same type of behavior, they seem to be corroborating one another, and the behavior, at least as it's being brought out, is really kind of horrendous. I mean, I think the most damaging thing that the jurors are going to remember, they saw this video with Cassie, and so they know that he's very capable of this behavior. I think the attorney Garagos had to get up there and say, look, that was a bad act, but it was more of a domestic violence thing. It wasn't RICO. So it's really going to depend on how capable, how competent the summation is by Garagos with the RICO. That's what it's going to come down to. Hey, he did some despicable things, but it's not racketeering. And if he can convince the jury of that, and then they have a shot. Other than that, I think it's a tough case. They were talking a lot about him taking the stand. The only time you take the stand is when you're desperate. Any attorney will tell you, you never take the stand unless, hey, we got a bad case here. You may as well go up there and try to help yourself. Normally, you don't want to take the stand.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Listen, I think we all know by this point that Diddy has a bit of a God complex, and if not a God complex, a king complex, and a hair trigger anger management problem. Sammy, because of that, do you think it is the dumbest idea ever if Diddy took the stand? Because it would be real easy for those feds to get under his skin real fast.
Yeah, I agree. You never take the stand in your case. It's like Michael said, as a last resort, your case is dead. You try to revive it and take the stand, but it would be a bad move. But I don't think he has to do that. I'm becoming more and more. I understand the RICO law. I saw a lot of people it was used against. I don't understand how they're using it in this case. What's the enterprise?
Okay, I'll give you an example. All right, I'll give you an example. The enterprise is that he's the CEO at the top of Bad Boy Records, and he allegedly uses all of his staff members, his chief of staff, Christina Coram, his bodyguard, D-Rock, and the other bodyguards to carry out a lot of these crimes, like this one is alleged. A hotel worker said he was paid $100,000 in cash in a paper bag to make some video of a felony assault go away, which you could say is obstruction of justice. So there's Diddy allegedly using his staff because they, according to the witness, were involved in the whole setup and planning of this, the non-disclosure agreement he had to sign. Michael, jump in on that. Do you see that as evidence of obstruction of justice, one of the predicate acts to prove RICO?
Yes, but there again, I think the challenge here is the lawyer is going to get up and say, well, where's the racketeering enterprise? An enterprise is one person all of a sudden. I think he's going to have to say that these other people were unindicted co-conspirators, or maybe he won't use that word, but he's going to have to say that these other people helped him carry out this pattern of racketeering that caused all of this stuff. Because to me, it doesn't make sense to have one person, be indicted for RICO and saying that he's the criminal enterprise. Normally, the criminal enterprise is made up of a number of people. Every one of my cases was that way, and I had 3 of them. And every case that I known, against all of my former associates, there was always a number of people that were part of the enterprise.
Yeah, we still have a couple to go. We haven't heard from D-Rock, and we haven't heard from the chief of staff either, Christina Coram. So that still could be to come. So that means you guys have to come back. Michael Franzese and Sammy the Bull Gravano, thank you both so much for your insight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, too.
Hey, everybody, you can catch Sammy on his podcast, Our Thing with Sammy the Bull, and Michael on his podcast, Sit Down with Michael Franzese. All right, coming up, we love big trials and we really love big mysteries, but the single most urgent stories we bring you on this show are manhunts. And that's because desperate and dangerous fugitives aren't just a police problem, they're an everybody problem until they're back behind bars. Tonight, we're following 3 separate manhunts for 4 highly dangerous offenders in multiple states. Each fugitive has his own set of skills and apparently his own support system. And each manhunt has its own difficulties and dangers. After a break, I'll get you up to speed on all of them, plus the sheriff on the trail of the fugitive accused of killing his own 3 little girls. That sheriff joins me live next. I have never seen a how-to guide for capturing dangerous fugitives, but if there is one, I know it is not short. There are many different types of manhunts as there are escaped prisoners out there, or bail skippers or suspects who elude arrest. As we speak, 3 manhunts are making headlines right across this country, involving 4 dangerous offenders or alleged offenders, and dozens, if not hundreds, of investigators. The one we've reported on the most, because it's dragged on the longest, is the one in New Orleans, where 10 inmates escaped from the parish jail on May 16th, and 2 of them are still on the loose tonight. On Monday, police raided a home where one of those 2, Antoine Massey, apparently recorded an Instagram post claiming he didn't do the crimes he's accused of and that he didn't break out of jail either. He says, quote, he was let out. Okay. Massey's own relatives reportedly tipped police to his safe house, and that could be because of the $50,000 reward hanging over each of the 2 escapees' heads. In neighboring Arkansas, the Wild West meets 21st century technology in the search for Grant Hardin. He's a former police chief who was convicted of murder and rape and is known to the locals as the Devil of the Ozarks. He literally walked out of a prison a week ago Sunday, actually, by pretending to be this guy, a lawman. Right? Fashioned himself that uniform. Even if he never leaves the state, he has more than 2,000 caves nearby in that kind of landscape that he could hide in. So much of the search has been taking place on foot or on horseback, but modern techniques are in play tonight as well. Police are asking cell phone companies for data from the towers around the prison between May 24th and May 29th, and that is before and after Hardin's breakout. So presumably they're looking at who was in the vicinity and who might have given the Ozark Devil a lift. Our newest big manhunt is in Washington State, where tonight we got word of a possible sighting of Travis Decker. Police aren't releasing any details, but that could change soon, so stay tuned to that. Decker is accused of murdering his 3 young daughters, Peyton, age 9, Evelyn, 8, and Olivia, 5. They were found dead on Monday near a campground, and police now say they were asphyxiated. Court documents indicate that their little wrists were zip-tied. By their father? We're told that Travis Decker's truck was found nearby with 2 bloody handprints on it. The girls were last seen Friday after leaving a custodial visitation with Decker, who's described as a military vet with mental health struggles and no fixed address. I'm joined now by the man leading this manhunt, Chelan County Sheriff Mike Morrison. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining me. Have you got any updates tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having us on. It's been a productive day. We've been working with our partners with the U.S. Marshals Service, Federal Bureau of Investigations, Border Patrol, Homeland Security Investigations, Washington State Patrols. We got a lot of resources on the ground. Been collecting a lot of information off cell phones, as you discussed in your last part. In addition to some interviews with family, friends, just getting a better understanding of Travis and what his thought process might be and where he's headed.
So there was some talk about a possible sighting. I know this video that's on the left-hand side of the screen a second ago was a video of him sort of around the time of the disappearance, but before the disappearance. It's just so that people would have an idea of really what he looks like. This is the most recent images that there are. Is that correct?
Correct. It was a couple days before at a local grocery store here in Leavenworth, Washington. We've also shared some photos of what he looked like before when he was in the military, more clean cut, just to give a better idea to citizens what he could look like if he decided to clean himself up.
So talk to me about that military piece, because it's been said that he's got some survival skills if he's been in the military. That certainly does present a little bit more of a challenge, doesn't it?
It does. And talking with his father today, we know that he's kind of had this background of being out in the woods, enjoying being out there since he was a young child. At times going out there for 2.5 months at a time. We know he's big into caching supplies. So if he did set it up beforehand and put supplies out there, it could make it more difficult to track him down. But we also have technology working on our side. Thanks to FLIR, we have our drones. We have cadaver dogs. We have ground units. Again, we have Border Patrol's search teams out there as well, assisting us just based off the terrain that we have here in Ashleigh County, very mountainous, wooded, and we want to provide every single opportunity we can for our guys to be successful and track them down.
Can you tell me a little bit more about these little girls and the circumstances in the discovery of them?
Yeah, well, I appreciate you mentioning my name, Peyton, Evan, Olivia, Evelyn, and Olivia. I think it pays respects to them, to the family. Wonderful young children. We've been talking to members throughout our community whose kids were also involved in sporting events with them. We've talked with mom. Clearly, they were the joy of the family's life. Certainly, the community has been devastated by this loss. Each one of them was certainly going to be a rising star here and a future leader. So just unthinkable to think that a father could do this. I think all of us as parents, I'm a father myself, are going to look at, we would do anything possible to protect our kids, lay our lives down. And to see a cowardly act like this, where he would take the life of his own children, is just disgusting. It's cowardice. And we have certainly viewed him as someone we're going to actively pursue and be an adversary towards him.
Can you tell me a little bit more? The detail that I learned today was chilling, that their wrists were zip tied. Was there any other detail about how their bodies were found that you can share?
Yeah, out of respect for the family, I made sure that I would not go into details in regards to how we found them. Unfortunately, we did find them deceased. We paid nothing but respect to them since that point, and hopefully tomorrow, when our coroners finish up their autopsy, we'll get a better understanding of what happened. But again, just unfortunate information that we got on, and again, we're going to hold Travis accountable for this.
Sheriff, can you tell me about the bloody handprints on the suspect's vehicle, on their father's vehicle? Were those likely his handprints or the children's?
Absolutely. It does look like the blood print that we found on the back of the truck was about the size of an adult handprint. We're unsure if that's coming from Travis or anyone else that might have been on scene. Again, we're not ruling anything out, but we will go through. We've got samples, thanks to Washington State Patrol and Chief Batiste for sending over his crime lab team. We had a several-hour assessment of the crime scene, collecting evidence. We've started processing that information in addition to processing electronic devices we found on scene. So we're hoping to get a better understanding of what happened, who might have been on scene, and where we can go from here.
Sheriff Morrison, stay close. We'll touch base with you as we continue to put his picture up there and try and get people aware of who they should be looking for and staying away from and calling you if they cite him. Thanks for being on tonight.
Thanks for having me. Have a good evening.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.